PERMA, as the human flourishing model, was introduced by Dr. Marty Seligman. Let's look at what that stands for. So, PERMA stands for, stands for positive emotions. We briefly discussed positive emotions and the way to introduce some. And most of us know when we feel good and what we need to do to feel that way. Most of us know that what will help us to feel good. So positive emotions are the basics of being happy, but they're not enough. Why they're not enough? They're really not enough to improve our overall well-being. And again, we talked about this earlier, how positive emotions are habitual. We feel good, we feel good, we feel good, and then when we do this millions of times, it actually doesn't really make us feel that great anymore. So, if something that you do gives you more positive emotions, just please go ahead and do more of it. There's nothing wrong with it. Other things that give you pleasure may not be so great for you if you do too much. So we have to watch, such as, eating too much chocolate. It gives us positive emotions, but if we eat too much, it may not be great for us. But there are actually ways that we can build positive emotions, and here are some ideas. While I was teaching Dale Carnegie program, I was globally certified Dale Carnegie trainer, I realized how important it is to remember people's names. And almost the entire lecture, so it was about 3.5 hours, and in the old days was 5 hours and then 4 hours, was dedicated just to learn names, remembering techniques and putting in practice. Introducing a lot of exercises as we going to do through this program and putting them in practice. Now, during the practice, when people successfully remembered many names, not only did they feel really good about it, but the other person whose name they actually remembered also felt very good, right? You feel good when people remember your name. We all do. We know that that's why, when you go to all these streets, you go to the parks, museums, there were the names given after certain people who may be around and may not be, but it's a big thing, remembering someone's name. So I suggest you learn other people's names and use it in a sentence when communicate with others. So, whose name you didn't know before, especially, and that will bring some positive emotions to you and the other person. So encourage your friends, colleagues to share their great life, best moments, and peak performance. Share with others. That will give some pleasant moments to them while they're sharing, but also it will uplift people listening. Now you can listen to some uplifting music. There was the time I stopped recently, but when I would go to the basement, and before I even start doing exercising, I would turn on the loud music and I would just dance. I would have some old disco music or even some of the latest rap, whatever it is. But I would jump up and down 5 o'clock in the morning. That would uplift my mood. So try that. Well, you don't have to jump up and down, but try to listen some uplifting music. Send a paper greeting cards. Most of us forgot all about it. That there is a way that actually we can, have and write down a greeting card and send to friends. Be curious, be kind, etc. Many things will and could bring us positive emotions. Okay, so understanding positive emotions, I believe, was simple, right? So now let's move to the next letter. E stands for engagement or flow. What does it really mean to be fully engaged or to be in flow, as Dr. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi calls it? So what's flow? Flow is an effortless action, and yet the moments stay as the best moments in our life. Athletes call it being in the zone, right? That's when they are in the flow. When we fully in the flow or fully engaged, we completely in focus on the activity and nothing else matter. I'm doing this lecture now, nothing else matter. I'm truly in a flow. So how can we increase the chance of being in a flow? How can we be in a flow even more? Learn to become mindful and appreciate the present moment. This moment right now is all we have. You're listening, I'm teaching now, I'll be listening. This is all we have. Past is gone. The future hasn't arrived yet. So this is what we have. Try to appreciate present moment. Do something you have never done before. We talked about brushing our teeth with a non-dominant hand. Not only will you become even more mindful, but if you create a habit of this exercise and you do it for 30 days, research shows 21 days, 21 to 30. I would say anything you do for 30 days or more in a row, meaning that you brush your teeth with non-dominant hand for 5 days and you skip it for 4, and then you do it again, that doesn't count as 5 plus 4 plus 1, 10. No, start from the beginning. That's really 30 days. It needs to be in a row. Or if it's just 5 days a week you're creating a habit, fine. Do it 5 days a week, but not 3 days a week. So, you will actually increase your willpower based on the research if you do something you have never done before. You can find more about this again in my other Habits and Happiness program. But if you are lucky enough to have If you are lucky enough to have your grandparents spend time with them. Listen, get engaged. Savor those precious moments. Savor precious moments with your friends, partners, family, kids. That will bring you in a flow, will bring you more happiness. So not only that you will be mindful, it will bring you happiness in this moment, but also as you savor the moments, it will bring you happiness in the future. So also, using your signature strength will help you improve many characteristics of happiness, including the flow and engagement. And you can get your set of character strength at this website, viacharacter.org. We don't have a lot of time now to talk about it, but I highly recommend you go there and get your strength. We'll probably touch base later on character strength as well. R stands for relationships. We will have the entire lecture dedicated to relationships and we're going to discuss what kind of relationships are the productive relationships that have something we call, active constructive responding. You'll see that later, that relationships are, based on the research, the number one predictor of happiness. So people who have a strong supportive relationships, the chances are they are happy people. Let's just touch base briefly on relationships. So we spend a lot of time interacting with people, and again, based on the research, people that have higher quality, not quantity, social relationships are happier people. But what can we do to build even better and more positive relationships? How about we start with listening? It's amazing that listening is one of the skills that maybe lately is, but it hasn't been taught in colleges, and yet it is one of the most important skills. And you can truly have amazing relationships just by listening. When responding, provide what we call the active constructive responding. We will learn again more about this lecture later on. Ask questions. And again, listen. Listen to understand. Listen to be able to get engaged in discussion. Listen to be able to help. When we talk, we don't learn. We only hear what we already know. When we listen, we learn. I've heard this somewhere. I'm really not sure who said this. Might even be His Holiness Dalai Lama, I believe. But it is so true that when we listen, we learn. And when we talk, we only hear what we already know. So keep learning and keep improving your relationships. Let's move on. M stands for meaning. Meaning and purpose. Having a meaning in life and the things we do is incredibly important for our happiness, to our overall happiness. You know, remember Candace Billups from the other lecture on happiness? If you haven't seen that video, again, I recommend highly you go back and watch it. So once we find the meanings in things we do, and regardless what we do, we can always find the meaning. And once we do, life is suddenly much better. You know, Candace found the meaning in being a custodian, but it wasn't about just being custodian. It was about helping patients get better. You can always find the meaning in anything that you do. You don't have to have, you know, an incredibly executive position, influence position in order to find the meaning. So instead of seeing, you know, our jobs just as a way to get paid and pay our bills, as most of us really do, try to find the meaning. You know, when I work full-time, I still work. My full-time job is the director of large financial organization and the head of global data centers. And it's kind of like what's happening is I support all the global trading, foreign exchange trading behind the scene. And I find the meaning in helping world economy grow. I find the meaning in helping people in small countries exchange their currency and goods. Helping small businesses run cabling in our data centers, and therefore they'll be able to provide a good life to their families and so on. So find the meaning in what you do, and you will improve your overall happiness. You know, we need to feel like that we are serving something better, bigger than ourselves. Serving something bigger than ourselves. And sorry. And in that sense, when we do something altruistic, when we help other people, we feel better as well. Here, you can see a difference between cut. Here, you can see a difference between altruism and pleasure. Pleasure is something that helps us feel good, right? Directly, just helps us feel good. But doing something altruistic helps other people and at the same time helps us as well, without really truly seeking for pleasure for ourselves. You see, we're helping other people and at the same time we feel good about it. So to build even more meaning in our life, let's be more authentic. Let's be ourselves. You know, don't try to mimic someone else if that's not you. You can try meditation, pray, or simply care for others. You know, go deeper and try to find the meaning in what you do and what you want to do. You know, what your life is all about. A stands for achievement. And you know, as human beings, we are meant to achieve something, to get to our goal, whatever that might be. Without the accomplishment, we feel worthless and therefore not happy. You know, I know sometimes you'll say, well, I just want to relax, I don't want to do anything. Yes, there are times that we do that, but if it's too much of that, trust me, that does not bring happiness to us. So therefore, accomplishment and saying, I did it and I did it well is what makes us happy and the life worth living. Often, to achieve something in life, we set the goals. We make the necessary steps toward that goal in order to achieve it. And some goals we achieve, others we do not. And that's okay. It's life. As long as we move forward and move toward the achievement is what improves our overall well-being. We will have the entire lecture dedicated to goals, but what I think is important to mention here is that our achievement should be driven internally and not externally. Let's say that again. Our achievement should be driven internally and not externally.